As in every county meeting, we're going to start with prayer and the pledge. So I'm going to ask that Commissioner Tommy Johnson lead us in prayer. Then I'm going to ask that City Commissioner Jeff Harmon lead us in the pledge. Thank you for being here, Commissioner.
Let us pray. Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you once again for the day. We thank you, God, for your love, your grace, and your mercy. We thank you most of all, God, of the precious gift that you gave each and every one of us through salvation. We pray your blessings upon our meeting tonight. We thank you for everyone here. We pray, God, that you will touch every heart. Lord, lead us all in the directions you'd have us to go. And God, please touch our county. Please help us to have the vision and the will to do what is right. We do love you, Lord, and we thank you once again for everything that you do. Please bless our meeting in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I want to welcome everyone tonight to the regular bi-monthly meetings. Many of you may not know we did meet quarterly, but we never met quarterly. We always met 8 to 10 times a year, so we've gone to bi-monthly. We will meet again scheduled in January with always the ability to call a special call if needed. Madam Clerk, how are you today?
I'm good.
How about a roll call on this bunch?
Yes, sir. Dr. Sims.
Here.
Travis Fawcett.
Here.
Brian Dooley.
Here.
Wayne Lane.
Here.
Jay Freeland.
Here.
Brian Walker.
Here.
George Dotson.
Here.
Ed Nunley.
Here.
Jeff Barger.
Here.
Paul Powell.
Here.
Michael Hudson.
Here.
Jim Dishman. Frank Silver.
Here.
Susan Lawson.
Here.
Wayne Clemens.
Here.
Tommy Johnson.
Here.
Tommy Darrow.
Here.
And Jeff Matthews.
Here.
17. We have a quorum. Commissioners, in your package, you should have received the minutes from the September 19th, 2022 meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve said minutes. I have a motion from Mr. Powell and a second from Mr. Ruley. Any additions, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, said minutes hereby pass. Okay. Up next is the reports. In front of you, you should have received the trustees' report. It is, we will make that part of the minutes. And also, Madam Clerk, it is my understanding, and according to my count, all elected officials' bonds have been perfected. You have received each of those, correct? I want to make that part of the minutes as well. All right, Mr. Higgins, I see you back there, sir. Would you come forward and give us your report, sir?
Well, as you can see on the front, I've got a little table there that shows our revenues. Last month they went down about 10,000, but I don't know exactly what's going on this month yet. One thing I do want to talk about, we had a fuel tank that started leaking about 2 weeks ago, and the tanks have been in about 30 or 40 years. They're not compliant. They're not the double wall tanks, so we ordered 2 tanks and we stopped the leak. Temporary tanks come in today. We're in the process of replacing those. Before, could have had a bad environmental issue, but we stopped it in time. If you look on page 2, items 5 and 6, it talks about the roads we tarred and chipped this year and the ones that we paved. I'll give you an idea of what we've done so far. And then, of course, looking forward is mainly potholes and snow activities. And our reports and stuff are in the back. And if there's any questions, I'll address them now.
Yeah, as far as all the boos and boots and A's.
The what?
Of boots and eggs. I mean, you got a Canadian shirt on, eh?
Well, I have a tendency to go to Calgary. I like to go once a year. My wife got family up there, but we didn't get to go during COVID, but it's a nice warm trip.
On that Briar Branch area, did you turn that in the county attorney?
We got to go through the road committee with that. I mean, all the paperwork's there. I haven't got a chance to go through it, but we only lacked one. You said we had it, so.
You got all. Oh, you don't get one, want to know.
Yeah, we'll have to do that when we have another road committee meeting sometime down the road.
I was just sort of getting an update up to the people that asking questions about that word.
We've got a road committee scheduled for January, so.
Okay. Maybe brought up then.
Any other questions for Mr. Higgins? Hearing none, thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sheriff, I saw you sneak in here. Give us your report, sir. Sheriff Bill Phillips.
So there is a report in your, or should be in your packet, I'm assuming there is, that has stats from October. Maybe not. There was a report. It just has the stats from patrol for October. We really didn't have a system for keeping the stats, so we had during the month of September to kind of figure out what was the best way to do that with the setup that we have. So it was really October 1st before we got a good system in place, and so we have that report. It is available if anyone needs it, but that is just the patrol side of the house. Those stats are something I thought you could just have with you to look at, and I don't really know that we would need to spend a lot of time discussing those things. Aside from patrol, we also have obviously the investigative side of the house. That has been very active, as you may have seen. We served 4 narcotic search warrants during the month of October and made it into a few other suspected drug homes without a search warrant. Several arrests were made, and we had multiple continuing investigations because of those. We were able to take a few hundred suspected fentanyl pills off the streets. The problem is there are a lot more out there, so we got to do a better job of getting more of those. As far as the status of the department, at this point, less than 90 days, I couldn't be more pleased. Our people are really responding well to what we're doing. I'm really proud of what they've done and how they've taken what we've given them. And on both sides, the sheriff's office side as well as the jail. We could talk for a long time tonight just about what's happening in the jail, including a $1 million grant that we've been awarded, as well as we had a mock inspection today. We had people come down from the state to do the mock inspection for a Tier 1 accreditation. So our real inspection will be December 1. And that's kind of a big deal for us, because if we earn this Tier 1 accreditation, our pay goes up for state inmates per day and all these things. It's not much, but if you add that much per inmate times a year, it really adds up. So, and this is something that we can do with really just bringing our jail up to a standard that it should be at anyways. So our mock inspection went really well today. We expect good things to happen on December 1. And we had still on the jail, we had our second inmate to earn his GED just about a month ago. So real proud of those guys, as well as the jail administration, for helping make this happen, and the volunteers. There were several volunteers that come in that helped make this happen. So a lot of good things going on both sides of our house, and we've got a long ways to go. We're still climbing, but we're off to a really good start. I'm really proud of our people. The community has been ultra supportive. Couldn't ask for much more. We're working really hard to build that relationship that I talked about back during the campaign on building a relationship with the communities. And we're working really hard to do that, and we'll continue to foster those in the future. But we're getting a really good response from the community. Our employees have been wonderful, and I couldn't ask for anything better today. So I'll be glad to entertain your questions.
Any questions for the sheriff? Thank you, Sheriff. Doing a good job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Soraya, you in the house? Yes, come forward. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear or see up here. I'm going to ask something a little bit unusual. I'm going to ask that Jeff Mackey come forward.
You want to do this now or you want to wait? You want to do this now or you want to wait? We need to take those glass down.
Come on forward now. Let's knock out what you want to do with the school system, and we'll
All right, I
get
can
that
do
behind
that.
us. So,
Well, go ahead and let her give her report.
Ms. Cordell, go ahead, Melissa.
Well, I'm obviously not Sarai, but she had some family issue to deal with tonight, so I'm here for her. And Sarai is coming up on her first year anniversary of this position, and she's doing a great job, and we're so fortunate to have her leading our school system. Our school year is almost halfway through, and we're preparing right now for end of course testing at the high school. We will have your financial reports. We were going to bring those tonight. We had a little technical difficulties today with that, but we'll get those mailed to you. And if you have any questions about our financial report, you can call and speak with Ms. Sherry or any of the staff there at the central office. At the joint meeting that you all had with the school board, Ms. Sarai talked about the electric school bus grant through the EPA. We did not get that grant. We had applied for 3 electric school buses, and we did not get that, but we are on the waiting list. It's very long, so it's not likely that we will get it this round. And I was so happy to hear what the sheriff said about some of our people that are in the jail getting their GEDs. That's wonderful that you all are working with them and trying to get them their education. We also worked with the Sheriff's Department recently on safety checks, and we're very happy to be working with them. We've done a couple of those already this school year, and we just thank you all for what you do. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you all and your contribution. So I think we're going to recognize
Ms. Cordell, if you'll just stand away and make room for Mr. Mackey. We've got, let me say this about the financials. We got a balance sheet earlier today, and I think this county legislative body saw the $20 million in general purpose schools with 0 debt. That's about all they needed to get us. Doing a good job.
Thank you.
But Mr. Mackey has a presentation he would like to make. So,
You're not Sarai.
I'm not Sarai.
Oh. I was
I'm a little bit shorter, so.
All right. I'll set this over here for the moment. I have to talk about an event that happened down at our high school back on November the 9th. And I'll set the stage for how this happened. I was sitting out in the great state of Montana in Missoula, minding my own business, watching a bunch of football players in snazzy orange and white uniforms kick around a bunch of kittens from Kentucky around the field in Knoxville. And it was a fun game to watch, and minding my own business, and I get this text from my brother. And my brother is, I've got 2 nieces in Florida, they're involved in a band, and he texts me, he says, our band is going to compete in Indianapolis at the Grand Nationals in Indianapolis. He says, you don't think you might convince your schools to let us borrow their facilities so we can stop and practice on the way going to Indianapolis? And I texted my brother back and I said, we bantered that around for a minute or two, and I said, I think our school would actually be pretty thrilled. Knowing our school superintendent and knowing our band director and the things that he's done within our community, I said, I think they'll be thrilled to do something like that. So at that point, I had an epiphany, and I said, you know what? Self-respecting politician that I am, I'm going to do what any self-respecting county commissioner would do in this particular situation. I picked up my phone, I hit the forward button, sent it all to my wife, and said, make this happen. So that's about how this went down. I set my phone back down, continued my barroom conversation, ordered another hazy, and sent it all to Melissa to take care of. Well, in that course, she got in touch with Sarai, ran that by her, said that would be a great idea, then got in touch with our band director, who then got in touch with the band boosters, and we put it all together. They put it all together. And we had it all for these kids when they came up here. Gave them a police escort into town. Thank you, Mr. Sheriff, for letting us borrow a couple of your deputies for about 45 minutes. Those kids sent back all sorts of things saying they were treated like rock stars coming here. And they got out and they brought their 175 or so member band out there, which is one of, if not the largest band that has ever performed at this high school out here. And you know, I spent the day down at the high school with my wife and Mr. Willis and some of the band boosters, you know, helping move equipment and get everything prepared. So they had a 2-hour unload of all the equipment to get out just for the props to practice. This is how well they practice. And then they came out, did the practice, and put on an amazing performance out there for us. And then took 2 hours to load up and everything else when it was all said and done. So, you know, at the end of the day, and this is where it all came into focus with me on this particular thing. We were standing out, you know, with what we call the pit crew, who had came and delivered all of these props and equipment. We're standing out there. About 8:30 at night, it had gotten colder outside, looking at this beautiful turf field, and you know, he says, you know, these facilities here are really nice. And he said, you know, you got a good school. He couldn't understand and could not believe that the buildings were as old as they were and how well they had been taken care of. The facilities were. Their kids left our place in amazing shape. We did a walkthrough. He and I did a walkthrough just to make sure everything was in place. And then just the bathrooms were left in good condition. The field, you know, they were there. And he looked and he said, but you know what the greatest thing about all this is? And I said, well, what's that, Steve? And he said, the very fact that your community supports your school. This school is stood behind by our community. And I look at opportunities like this because we take time to go out and create opportunities for our kids. We take the time to go out and make connections. We've made a connection with a school in Florida who's got ties to a lot of different places down there. They've already invited us and our band to come to our school. Whenever we want to go, they said, we'll make it happen. Those are great ties to have. We create opportunities. Our sheriff's deputies came out. They were cutting up with the band directors and all that. That wouldn't happen in Florida. But what that does, and it goes just back to what our sheriff was just saying, if you want to make connections with these kids, these deputies being out there cutting up with these kids and showing that they're part of human, that the police are not somebody to be an enemy of, but they're somebody here to trust when you run into problems, especially at these younger ages. And if we're going to get the drug problem taken care of in this county, those are great connections to do. So, great example of what you've done in that regard. Our band director, the same thing. He gets out and works with these kids, gets out the parades, the veterans events, things of that nature are always welcome in this community because it gives these children another opportunity to go. You know, all we have now, we've earned our lot in society. Everybody out here, we've all done it. We've gotten careers and everything else. It's time we pass this on to our other kids. And as we create opportunities and we create relationships, it's a great thing. So I have a few things. Mr. Willis, I want you to come on up here because we got a few things to do. Okay, so you've seen this plaque before, and I'm going to show this out. This was a plaque that came from the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band in Windermere, Florida, which is just right outside of Orlando. In fact, they say that they're from their facility, they can see the fireworks at Disney at night. It should be noted that their facility, that the county commission that is in Orange County, I believe it is, would not allow them to have a stadium on their own school campus because the neighbors would complain because there was too much noise and too many lights coming from that. So they have to use a public facility down the road a couple of miles to do all their practicing and football games and everything else on, which goes into what we had here. Our school is here with this great turf field. We support our school. But they sent us this plaque, and this plaque reads, "To our friends at Sequatchie County High School. Thank you for the amazing welcome and warm hospitality. May this occasion mark the beginning of a long and prosperous friendship between our schools. Signed, the Fighting Wolverine Marching Band, student, staff, and volunteers. Go Indians, November 9th, 2022. So I'm going to hand that over to you, and I hope you make a place somewhere on our high school wall to remind all of us what it can be when we make friends in other places, and to show our students that we branch out. And I am going to
Let's take care of a little housekeeping first, Mr. J. Mack. Resolution, we're going to move down to the new business, Resolution 778. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Have a motion from Jimbo, have a second from Mr. Powell. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, said Resolution 778 hereby passes.
Okay, that's the one for the marching band for the Wolverines?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we'll do that one first. The Windermere Fighting, and this is one we're going to send back to the Windermere High School for their band from us. They were gracious visitors here, gave us a nice plaque. We're going to send them something framed, signed from our county. And they did make the newspaper, so they'll certainly get a copy of that. So this plaque says, whereas the Windermere High School is located in Windermere, Florida, and whereas the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band was invited to and accepted an invitation to compete in the Bands of America 22 Grand Nationals in Indianapolis. Whereas the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band visited the campus of the Sequatchie County Schools on Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, while en route to their competition in Indianapolis. And whereas the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band used our school facilities to rehearse their program and invited the public to view their rehearsal. Whereas the students, band directors, and parent volunteers of the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band have demonstrated a high level of dedication to their program. Whereas the students, staff, and volunteers of the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band treated the campus of the Sequatchie County Schools and Sequatchie County High School with great respect. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sequatchie County Commission wishes to congratulate the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band for their achievements in competing in the Bands of America 2022 Grand Nationals, and be it further resolved that the Sequatchie County Commission wishes to extend the invitation for the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band to return to Sequatchie County, Tennessee again in the future. It should be noted that they made the first round of the Grand Nationals in Indianapolis. This past weekend they took the silver in the state of Florida overall for all the bands. So they're number 2 in the entire state of Florida, the top division, the 5A division there. So congratulations goes out to that band. Mr. Cartwright, you want to do the next one?
Absolutely. In your packets, Resolution 779. I'll entertain a motion to approve. I've got a motion from Mr. Powell. Do I hear a second? I've got a second from Mr. Frank Silver. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, said resolution hereby passes. J. May.
Okay, so now this one is going to our band, and in specific, what Mr. Willis and what our band boosters have done for our community. You know, I don't think there's hardly a parade or event for the veterans that goes by that doesn't have the band involved in one direction or another. And the whole idea of getting in with other schools and making these ties and connections is so that we can better each other, so that we, progress together. Well, they've been to a lot of places that we want to be. And with their help in kind, it doesn't cost us anything except being the great champions of our community that we are, goes a long way towards that. And like I said, we've already been extended the invitation to go to Florida. So the next time we have the opportunity, we're certainly going to take it. So this resolution 779 is in recognition of the Sequatchie County Schools Band Program. Whereas Mr. Tom Willis is band director and Mrs. Sarai Pierce is director of Sequatchie County Schools. Whereas the Sequatchie County High School hosted the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band so that they could rehearse their program while en route to the Bands of America Grand Nationals in Indianapolis on November 9th. Whereas band director Tim Willis, director of schools Sarai Pierce, and the Sequatchie County Band Boosters worked tirelessly to host the Windermere Fighting Wolverine Marching Band. Whereas the Sequatchie County Band performs in many different community events such as football games, parades, and veterans events. Whereas the Sequatchie County Band Boosters, parents, volunteers spend countless hours working behind the scenes to support the band. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sequatchie County Commission wishes to thank the Sequatchie County Band and the parent volunteers of the Sequatchie County Band Boosters for being exemplary representatives of our community and our schools. Be it further resolved that the Sequatchie County Commission wishes to show their appreciation to the band and band boosters for their outstanding efforts in hosting the Windermere Fightin' Wolverine Marching Band November 9th. And I want to give that to you to go on your band wall. And also thank you for your service and all to your country and to our community that you've shown for the last 10 years that you've been here. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Cordell. We appreciate
Were there
it.
any questions about
Any
this?
questions for Ms. Cordell?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ballot sheet says it all. All right. Up next, we have our clerk and master, Jared Smith Esquire. Mr. Counselor, come on up, sir.
You're gonna make me follow that. We're going from a high to a low here, so to speak. Every time that we have a tax sale, I like to come before the county commission to kind of keep you updated as to how that went and kind of what kind of money that brings back into the county. So back on November the 4th, we had our second tax sale since I've been a clerk and master, and I am proud to say that we dropped from 75 parcels in the first tax sale and only had 26 in this one. And that is in large part due to the efforts of both Tom's wife, Renee, and also Jenny Wagner, who worked tirelessly to notify people, to locate them, to send stuff out to them. They literally spend hours researching every parcel to try to notify owners. And then ultimately, when we don't get any results, then unfortunately it goes into a tax sale. So, just some updates on numbers. So, I ran a couple of reports just to pull numbers. Kind of the main one is the collected tax report, and that reflects the base tax and the interest and penalty that it had accrued since it started being delinquent in our office up until the point where it was sold. So that's clear money that kind of goes to the state. Some of the other money that I'll talk about is money that comes from different sources, but the base tax and the interest and penalty of this one, if I can get back to the page, we had we cleared $27,755.59. So that was interest and penalty, and then also there's $40 from every parcel per year that comes to the county as a filing fee. So that is money that straight went to the county. We turn it over at the end of the month. The other kind of numbers that I'll talk about are a little bit different. So we have our minimum bid amount, which is the addition of not only the base tax and interest and penalty, but also the attorney's fees, any other expenses that we have to undertake to notify, which is your private process server fees, our mailing certified mail fee, publication fees. So all of that gets combined into the total minimum bid for that day was $37,964.19. And I'm happy to say that all of them sold except for one back to private hands. And the only one that did not was some mineral rights that was out on, I believe, Lewis Chapel Mountain. I hadn't expected it to go. We notified the surface owner and didn't get a response, and I don't know, maybe they'll show up at a surplus property sale. But we receipted $64,420.37. The only thing that I'll send our county executive is just on the mineral rights, $916.32. And just as a comparison, at the last tax sale, what went to the county was north of $40,000 worth of stuff. So that's much, much improved. So, the minimum bid amount, $37,964.19, less really what we pocketed, which was the $27,775, whatever that number is, creates about a $10,208.60 difference. And like I said, that amount kind of gets flushed through. It goes to the attorney's fees, it goes to some other things, and some of that will come back to the county. How much? I don't know. It would take a lot of figuring that out. But it wound up clearing 171 kind of parcel lines out of our delinquent tax system. So that is a good thing, and those are getting smaller and smaller. So I want to thank the County Commission for, again, giving us the funds and the ability to do what we need to do these tax sales. We don't like to do them. We'll continue to do them. But I just like to keep you updated on what we are doing. And our door is always open if you have a question about tax sales or whatever we're doing. Come on in, and we're happy to answer any questions. I want to address, because I heard it earlier about the glass. I've been talking with the sheriff. Security in this courthouse and in this courtroom is a problem because there's not any. On court days, if you look at where Ms. Cagle sits and where our county executive is sitting, that's where the witness sits, that's where our judge sits. And so there's a clear line for a witness to get a hold of our judge without that glass there. So
Don't worry about Keith.
I'm not worried about Keith. I think you're going to be okay with Charlotte. So kind of as we have been looking at working on this courtroom to bring it up to a better place. And one of the things that we did last fiscal year was we put in the sign app, which is a wireless presentation system. That's something that we're still kind of slowly working on to add to really get the potential out of it. Kind of the thing that I'm looking at this year is to improve the microphones and the speakers. And that I've gotten two kind of quotes that both gave me a stroke. One of them was $36,000 from BIS, and the other one was, I want to say $22,000 from another company, which also gave me a stroke. Clearly those are going to have to be bid out when we get to that point, but I needed to have some frame of reference as to, and both of them came in and looked in here and looked at the equipment that we have, and I gave them some specifications about where I wanted speakers, the quality of microphones need to be so much better. I'm not a singer, I like to move, I don't like being on top of a microphone, so it's difficult for me to stand in one place. So there's a lot of equipment that has to be upgraded. We'll be back before you guys on some point, probably discuss that a little bit further, but hopefully the sound issue will get better once that stuff gets underway. But we're working on it.
Thank you, Counselor.
Any questions?
On your video, does it, how does that work in with that audio?
Okay, so I'll give you my multi-year plan for this room. To get the most out of this system that we have put in, it really is built to put in much better speakers and sound systems and document camera and video cameras from the ceiling. And with those, it all works together. So if we were streaming something, then you get the video, you get the sound. When the sound comes through here, it comes through all of these speakers. So it's a pretty nice setup. It's pretty expensive. So it just has to be done incrementally.
There would be a separation on the audio video for, like you had certain cases that, stop the video.
Yes, they can be isolated.
Okay, as far as.
Yes. Any questions on the delinquent tax sale?
Good job.
And I'll leave this information.
So you can't even see me through this glass, been waving my hand at you.
I can see you over there, Mr. Powell. It does. We get a lot of reflection looking through here. I don't have a full solution for that.
Up at the jail. I hadn't been in there in a while, but they done away with the shields up there.
They have taken them down over at the Justice Center. Now, here's the difference. At the Justice Center, in the courtroom, there's a whole lot more room. Is that a fair statement, Sheriff? So there is much more separation between where the judge sits, the witness sits down lower and is a little bit farther away. So it makes sense over there in that particular courtroom. If you really want to get rid of the glass, we would need to rethink this whole area up here. It would have to be revamped.
So do you have the option of using that facility over there?
We do. Anytime.
So how often do you have court up here?
Usually about once a month, sometimes twice. It depends on where our court days fall in conjunction with General Sessions Court and Circuit Court being held over at the Justice Center. So it does vary.
All right, well, the issue we have, and there's a lot of, and I know there are a few up here that agree with me, maybe one or two, that we can't hear. I mean, this takes away from our forum as a county commission, because this, after all, is a courthouse we're in, we pay for all this stuff.
Sure.
And, of course, I'm a big fan of taking all this glass stuff down. COVID's over with, has been over with for the longest, and right there is just a big monument to the Chinese communist bat stew flu that, we have, that we had going around. So I really don't want the monuments stuck up to the Chinese anymore. Maybe we can stick a Great Wall or something up behind Keith or something like that. So, that's what I'm looking for, so we can get back to business and understand and hear each other that we can't hear in here. So if we have an option of using a courthouse over there, maybe it's time that we explore the option of going over to the Justice Center where, court is supposed to be, and that's where the security and everything else, and not spend a bunch of money to upgrade things that don't need to be upgraded up here, which I think would be a disservice to the taxpayers of this county.
That's that's a valid point.
Anyone else? I'll have to watch the replay to hear what he said. No, any other comments? Thank you, Counselor. We appreciate it. Job well done, Clerk and Master. We appreciate it. County Attorney Jennifer Mitchell, anything from you? I know you're going to speak later to the judicial appointment that we're going to make, but moving forward over to, is Sheldon here with Ag? Sheldon, anything from you? How about audit? Mr. Venero or Miss Sherry, are you here? Y'all see Sherry? We had an audit meeting this morning. Miss Johnson.
Good evening. We did meet this morning at 9 o'clock here in the courthouse, and the first business on our agenda was welcoming a new audit committee member, and that's Dr. Winston Pickett. So he has joined our audit committee for this term. We actually started out by reviewing the balance sheets. The revenue is a little bit behind where it was last year at this time, but there are safeguards in place, so there's no need for concern right now. We also did get the audit findings back for all departments. One finding was in the highway department. It was a clerical error due to purchase orders, the timing of purchase orders, so it's just clerical. There was a continuation of a finding with the school system for the money that we had to repay for the federal government. They did not like the way that we handled the repayment, but we had to repay it. But it was just a continuation of that. No money was missing in either one of those departments. But we are extremely proud because this is the second row in the year that the County Executive Office has not had a finding. So we were very proud to see that they have worked very hard to make that happen. So we were very excited about that. We also had one additional item that was brought before the audit committee. It was in regard to a public records request that was made by Chester Shell. Mr. Shell had requested that records for a single local vendor from 2010 to present. He wanted the records for payments to him. You all do have a county policy on that, and county executive did provide the letter saying that they fully intend to provide those records. The one issue that they have is that there was an anonymous call made for these same records requesting these documents. And they were specifically from 2010 to 2019. The state came in, picked those records up and took them with them, and they have not been returned to the county. So the county cannot provide those records until the state returns them, but it is the intent for the county executive office to do that. He just wanted full disclosure to everyone that it may take some time because they will have to get those records back from the state and also dig up the current records that they do have here. But that's all that we have.
Which particular vendor did that involve?
That's private.
Oh.
Yeah. What I want to say with the report is, what's important about that is that we welcome records requests if anyone has them. That's our job. But I want to reiterate that our job is not investigatory. We can take a records request and we can try to fulfill it. Our job as an audit committee is to make sure that any requests that come in, that we're following that procedure. So what we talked about today and is with this particular request is that there are certain records sometimes that we can't get. They are already taken from our facility and we can't get them back. That's from, anytime there's an anonymous request or anything that goes in. So it's just important when a request is made, this is for the purpose of the general public, just know that we have full intention to comply with that. But sometimes the records just aren't there. And as an audit committee, we don't want to, our job is to protect all the offices that get these requests. And so that's our job to report that. That's why we wanted to address that. Especially I want to piggyback on to what Sherry said as well, is we as a county should be extremely proud of our audit findings. There being 1-1 in the two districts, and honestly, to the defense of the highway department and the school, as the audit committee chairman, they're as scrivener or clerical errors as can possibly be. I wish they should be zero in our opinion as audit finders, but they're not, so we have to address them, and they have been addressed. And then again, the county executive office has been 2 years in a row, which I think is historically relevant. And I know I've been on here since 2012. We had findings 25, 26, the history of it was not like that. So that just shows that we keep up our good work. The audit committee does its job. Commissioners, we have to watch things. Record request comes in, we have to take all those things seriously. If we do all those things, I think our audit findings will continue to be as exceptional as they were. And that's, I think it's prime for us to report that.
Okay, any questions for the audit committee? Hearing none, moving on. Is anyone from Puckett in the house? No one from Puckett, that'll shorten the meeting. How about 911, Mr. Ruling? Any updates, or Brian Harmon, are you in the house?
Everything's still moving forward. We do have a full staff right now, and I'm proud of that.
Very good. All right, the veterans, Mr. Patterson, are you still here? Thank you, sir. Come on forward.
Did anybody not get a copy of the report?
I think they got them, Jim.
Okay.
He should pass them out earlier.
Just thought maybe I missed the count.
Not a problem. Good having you, Jim.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jim Patterson. I'm the new Veteran Service Officer for the county. I was hired in July, and I'm just going to briefly go over what's on the sheet you have. My military background is I served in the Army Reserve for 2 years in Chattanooga. Joined the Air Force in 1985 and served till 2007. Retired, and I also, I'm a first sergeant in Tennessee State Defense Force from 2019 to current. Our county has, in our veterans software system, we currently have almost 300 veterans, and based upon the census estimate, we probably have around 1,300 total. And if you'll look on the second page, you'll see what's some data on the PACT Act that Congress just passed. This is going to create a large number of new claims for our office. Next, you'll see some brief numbers from our veterans software that show the productivity of the office. I can go into more detail with you offline if you want to know what these numbers mean. It's basically office visits, claims filed, powers of attorney. That's what we do basically, is help veterans with their claims with the VA, and widows and family. What I've done since July, I finished all my accreditation training. I got my background check done, access card, so I've got full access to the VA system to get records for veterans and process their claims. Got my American Legion and VFW accreditation as well, so I can see a broader, like normally if a veteran would come in and they didn't have one of our powers of attorney, I'd have to wait at least a week to see their records. Maybe I'd be able to see them the same day, get their claim done. Went through all of our old equipment, got some of it working, most of it. And I set up an office space. So when veterans come in, if they need to fill out a, like a stressor statement for PTSD, or they just need to print stuff out, or, video conference for healthcare, or for also I set up a virtual hearing site that I'm working on. This is a big problem with the VA right now, is their backlog tens of thousands of appeals. And if we can do a virtual access point, it will really speed that up. So, and then what we might need in the next quarter, possibly some more hours to process these PAC claims. And then possibly next year we'll go up in hours. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Any questions for Jim? Thank you, Jim. We appreciate it. Thank you, Kyle. Doing a good job. Okay, moving on. Pam, with the IDB, anything from you?
We talked earlier in the budget committee and everything about a new ARC grant that was awarded to us for our building on Sequatchie Industrial Park Road. So we're real excited about that. It's a 70-30 match grant. So it's going to put a new sprinkler system in the whole 9 yards. And we will also put the $300,000 that the county is going to upfront back into the lease payment. So it will come back to us. So we're excited about that. And a lot of things are going on in the county, so it's just a day-by-day thing, but great things are happening. So
more to come. Thank you, Pam. We appreciate it. Okay, Janice with the chamber. Anything from the chamber?
Well, I thank all of you. We're doing great things, I think, downtown. We stay busy. On December the 16th, if you can, I would love for you to be at the City Hall from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. The Commissioner of Tourism's coming along with his staff. Senator Gardenhire and Representative Travis are coming. We're going to create a tourism roadmap. Where do we spend this ARPA money that's going to come in the next 3 years? So I would love for y'all to be there. We'll feed you lunch. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickett with Valley Fest.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the assistance from the county and the city. We've completed the trestle. If you haven't been by there, take a look at it. It's including lights and sign. We've done walkway work. Again, to the county, thank you for hauling. We compacted for around the new stage and plan to put down asphalt when the weather is appropriate. So things are moving well, and we appreciate it. About half of the outlay of the walking trail is in, and maybe at the end of the week it'll be up to Pine Street.
Thank you, Doctor. Former Commissioner Carolyn Sims, good seeing you out there.
Thank you.
Jerry Ruth will get to you later. Okay, Pam Scott with the fair, anything from you?
We'd just like everyone to know that we are officially a 501c3 now, and hopefully we will be able to get grants to make improvements at the fair.
Thank you, Pam. We appreciate it. Okay, anybody from the library? Hearing none. I see a few fire folks out there. Anything from Signal? I see some of you folks out there. Chief, anything? Okay. All right, let's move to the Mr. Barger, would you come forward too? You've got buildings and grounds and also budget, sir. Would you come up for that? So, guys, after Jeff Barger, it gets faster. So,
yeah, mine's going to be slow. All right, we'll start with the budget committee. I'll just kind of combine the building and grounds as we go. The budget committee did meet this afternoon or this evening. We had several items to go through on our agenda. We had some transfers and a couple of other topics to talk about. We'll go through the transfers first, try to get these knocked out, and then I'll try not to talk as much as Jeff Mackey, but I won't promise that I won't. All right, first transfer. This came as a recommendation or a motion from the budget committee to transfer these funds. It was budget code 101, transferring from 39,000 fund balance, a sum total of $150, transferring that to 56,500, 333. That's the library licenses, and that was a motion from the budget committee.
you've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? I have a second from Mr. Nunley. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, said motion hereby passes.
All right. All right, the next item that the budget committee, and we'll try to do these two transfers is actually the same amount. It's a transferring in. It's a grant that came in, so it's a transfer in and then a transfer to the expenditure line item. It's budget code 101, transferring from 44,570 contributions gifts, a sum total of $9,500, and that's transferring to 39,000 fund balance of the same sum total of $9,500, and then that transfers from fund balance, the 39,000 fund balance of the same total $9,500, and that's transferring to the sheriff law enforcement supplies. That's 54,110, 431 law enforcement supplies, and that was a grant.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? I've got a second from Jim Bowe. Any discussion? One of these is a revenue, one is an expenditure side of the balance sheet. Any questions? Hearing none, because it exceeds $5,000, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chester Cheryl.
Yes.
Travis Fawcett.
Yes.
Brian Ruling.
Yes.
Wayne Lane.
Yes.
James Freeland.
Yes.
Brian Walker.
Yes.
Joyce Dotson.
Yes.
Ed Nunley.
Yes.
Jeff Parker.
Yes. Barger? Yes.
Paul Powell.
Yes.
Michael Hudson.
Yes.
Frank Silver.
Yes.
Susan Bossick.
Yes.
Wayne Clemens.
Yes.
Tommy Johnson.
Yes.
Tom Nero.
Yes.
And Jeff Mackey.
Yes.
Okay, motion hereby passes.
All right. The next item, and this also was a motion from the budget committee that we transfer from budget code 101, 39,000 fund balance, a sum total of $25,000, transferring that to 99,100, 590 transfers to other funds, and this was a sanitation transfer.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? Got a second from Mr. Travis. Any questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Chester Cheryl.
Yes.
Travis Fawcett.
Yes.
Brian Ruling.
Yes.
Wayne Lane.
Yes.
James Freeland.
Yes.
Brian Walker.
Yes.
Joyce Dotson.
Yes.
Ed Nunley.
Yeah.
Jeff Barger.
Yes.
Paul Powell.
Yes.
Michael Hudson.
Yes.
Frank Silver.
Yes.
Susan Bossick.
Yes.
Wayne Clemens.
Yes.
Tommy Johnson.
Yes.
Tom Nero.
Yes.
And Jeff Mackey.
Yes.
Motion hereby passes. Transfer. Mr. Chairman.
All right, the next item, and this was also a motion from the budget committee, transferring from budget code 116, 39,000 fund balance, transferring a sum total of $5,000, and that is transferring to 116 557 31207 waste pickup insurance. This was actually a person that picked up the insurance in open enrollment.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? I've got a second from Mr. Breland. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Shell?
Yes.
Travis Fawcett?
Yes.
Brian Ruling?
Yes.
Wayne Lane?
Yes.
James Freeland?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Phyllis Dodson?
Yes.
Ed Nunley?
Yes.
Jeff Carter?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
Michael Hudson?
Yes.
Jimmy Dishman? Frank Silver?
Yeah.
Susie Bostic?
Yes.
Wayne Clemens?
Yes.
Tommy Johnson?
Yes.
Tom Darrow?
Yes.
Jeff Baker?
Yes.
Okay, motion transfer hereby passes. Next, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the next item the Budget Committee discussed, and this is also a motion out of the Budget Committee for Budget Code 101, transferring from 39,000 fund balance, sum total of $500, transferring that to 52,400,508. That's the trustees' bond with the increase in the ARP money and stuff coming in. The trustees' bond had to be increased.
Do I hear a second? Have a second from Miss Susie Bostic, Christian Bostic. Because it's, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, said motion transfer hereby passes.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
All right, next item, the Budget Committee considered was, this came as a motion from the Budget Committee as well, Budget Code 101, transferring from 39,000 fund balance, a sum total of $15,900, and that is split down into 3 different line items. The first line item is 51,800,207 county's buildings insurance, a sum total of $5,500, and then 51,300,207, that's county executive insurance, that's a sum total of $5,400, and then 52,300,207 property assessor insurance, that's a sum total of $5,000. And if you add those 3 together, that comes to a total of $15,900 transferred.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second from Mr. Powell. Now what this is, we go through open enrollment, and folks have decided to opt in or opt out of the insurance plan, and these folks are opting in, so we have to fund those.
Yep.
So that's what this is.
This was actually, and it's noted, those of you guys that transfer, it's noted there was 3 employees picked up insurance.
Correct. Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Shell?
Yes.
Travis Fawcett?
Yes.
Brian Ruling?
Yes.
Wayne Lane?
Yes.
James Freeland?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Phyllis Dodson?
Yes.
Ed Nunley?
Yes.
Jeff Carter?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
Michael Hudson?
Yes.
Frank Silver?
Yes.
Susie Bostic?
Yes.
Wayne Clemens?
Yes.
Tommy Johnson?
Yes.
Tom Darrow?
Yes.
Jeff Baker?
Yes.
Okay, transfers are hereby perfected. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. We have one more transfer. This was transferring out of 101 general fund at 39,000, a sum total of 10,357.40, and that's transferring to the 54,110 Sheriff's Office line 338 for vehicle repairs. And this is money in and out. Actually the check, the insurance check should also been in your packet for that same total.
You've heard the motion. How about a second? Got a second from Mr. Walker. Good hearing from you, Mr. Walker. Because it exceeds 5,000, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Shell?
Yes.
Travis Fawcett?
Yes.
Brian Ruling?
Yes.
Wayne Lane?
Yes.
James Freeland?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Phyllis Dodson?
Yes.
Ed Nunley?
Yes.
Jeff Carter?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
Michael Hudson?
Yes.
Frank Silver?
Yes.
Susie Bostic?
Yes.
Wayne Clemens,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson,
Yes.
Tom Nero,
Yes.
and Jeff Mackin.
Yes.
Okay, said transfer hereby is passed. Okay, what's next, Mr. Chairman?
All right, we'll just go down the Budget Committee agenda. The next item that the Budget Committee discussed was a possible acquisition of the William Street property. That's property adjacent to our ER currently. And it came as a motion out of the Budget Committee to move forward with that purchase let's see how I worded it. Contingent on an appraisal being completed on that property.
And not to exceed.
And not to exceed $260,000.
You've heard the motion from the Budget Committee. I'll entertain a second. Mr. Tommy Johnson. Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if this bid comes in under, what, 260, what'd you say? 260?
Yeah, 260.
Are we giving the county executive the authority to go ahead and buy it? Is that what we're doing? Or are you coming back to the committee for purchase?
It's a good question.
A good question. The proposal was to move forward with the purchase, contingent on the appraisal being completed.
At least 260, correct?
At least 260. The property list at 260.
That is a good question, though. Is that how the Budget Committee understood it?
Yes.
Okay. If it comes in more, certainly I will come back.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know, I think my understanding was the listing price is 260. If the appraisal is less than 260, no deal, right?
No, if it's less than 260.
The appraisal is
the
less.
appraisal, right.
Right. If the appraisal is less than 260, no deal.
Right, we have to come back.
If it appraises for anything
Correct.
260 and over, authority is there to purchase it. That was
Absolutely.
my understanding.
I guess what I was getting at, if it comes in under 260, will the county executive broker a deal with the landowner and go ahead and purchase it?
Well, what I would probably do is call a meeting of the budget, or the buildings, grounds, and budget, and come together and what do we want to offer?
That's
Right.
what I was doing.
So.
Yes.
I think it's all contingent on what the appraisal comes back at.
Yeah.
If it does appraise less, then I guess Keith would come back and say, should I offer less? That's what you're trying
Right.
to do, Michael. Yes.
Correct.
That is the understanding.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, thank you.
The outside appraisal firm.
Yeah, basically.
Outside,
over,
yes.
buy it.
Yes.
Anything over, yes. and anything
Yeah, it has
less-
to be outside appraisal.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it doesn't appraise, I'll be back to you. All right. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chester Shell,
Yes.
Travis Fawcett,
No.
Brian Rubin,
Yes.
Wayne Lane,
Yes.
James Freeland,
Yes.
Brian Walker,
Yes.
George Dodson,
Yes.
Ed Dudley,
Yes.
Jeff Barker,
Yes.
Tom Powell,
Yes.
Michael Hudson,
Yes.
Frank Silver,
Yes.
Susie Boston,
Yes.
Wayne Clemens,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson,
Yes.
Tom Nero,
Yes.
and Jeff Mackin.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Motion hereby passed.
Motion hereby passes. And I'm gonna go ahead and skip down because the William Street property and the courthouse roof and windows and door bids all came out of Buildings and Grounds Committee to the Budget Committee. So I'm just gonna kind of follow that suit, and we'll talk about the bid for the courthouse. So this came as a motion from the Budget Committee to accept the proposed bid from Lee Construction to repair the courthouse roof, windows, and doors. And then that total was, we added that up, and I didn't write it down, but to about $208,000 for the bid was in two phases, phase 1 and phase 2 from Lee Construction. And that was a motion from the Budget Committee.
I think it was about 220, if I remember right. I can't see anybody's face moving, but I don't have that documentation. But you've heard the motion from the Budget Committee. It was, I don't know.
Phase one was 173,472,
Okay,
and phase two was $35,080.
215 or so.
Yeah. So around, yeah. 208, 208, 582, 34.
I can't hear.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yep.
Thank you.
We need to learn sign language, Keith.
Okay,
Smoke signal.
we're at 208, right?
208.
Okay. Counselor, we gotta get this, out. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Need a motion.
You need,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we had a motion from the
Have a
budget,
motion.
so I
Do
need
hear
a second.
Second.
Have a second from Tom Vanero. Any questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chip Rochelle?
Yes.
Travis Fawcett?
Yes.
Brian Rubin?
Yes.
Wayne Lane?
Yes.
James Freeland?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Jonas Dodson?
Yes.
Ed Nunley?
Yes.
Jeff Barger?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
Michael Hudson?
Yes.
Frank Silver?
Yes.
Susie Bostic?
Yes.
Wayne Clemmons?
Yes.
Tommy Johnson?
Yes.
Tom Nero?
Yes.
Jeff Matthews?
Yes.
Okay, motion hereby passes. I'm sorry, folks, I can't hear anything up in here, but, okay, what's next, Mr. Chairman?
I'm trying to get them all together here. Let's see. This was a motion from the Budget Committee to move forward with the ARC grant application on the IDB building improvements.
Yes.
That was a motion from the Budget Committee.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second from Tommy Johnson. Any questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chip Rochelle?
Yes.
Travis Fawcett?
Yes.
Brian Rubin?
Yes.
Wayne Lane?
Yes.
James Freeland?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Jonas Dodson?
Yes.
Ed Nunley?
Yes.
Jeff Barger?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
Michael Hudson?
Yes.
Frank Silver?
Yes.
Susie Bostic?
Yes.
Wayne Clemmons?
Yes.
Tommy Johnson?
Yes.
Tom Nero?
Yes.
And Jeff Matthews?
Yes.
Okay, motion hereby passes. Mr. Chairman.
All right. Another motion that came out of Budget Committee was there was actually only one survey bid. There was you'd put in a request for the survey of the Carlisle project, and there was one bid come in to actually do to survey the lines at $15,100, and it was a motion from the Budget Committee to accept that bid.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? I have a second from Mr. Silver. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chip Rochelle?
No.
Travis Fawcett?
No.
Brian Rubin?
Yes.
Wayne Lane?
Yes.
James Freeland?
Yes.
Brian Walker?
Yes.
Jonas Dodson?
Yes.
Ed Nunley?
Yes.
Jeff Barger?
Yes.
Paul Powell?
Yes.
Michael Hudson?
Yes.
Frank Silver?
Yes.
Susie Bostic?
Yes.
Wayne Clemmons?
Yes.
Tommy Johnson?
Yes.
Tom Nero?
Yes.
And Jeff Matthews?
Yes.
Okay, motion hereby passes.
All right. Let's see, what else is in the budget? Well, before we get to asking for the waive of the 5-day rule, one other item that the Budget Committee did do, we did not take any action on, but there was RFPs opened at the Budget Committee for the zipper factory. There was actually 3 sealed RFPs. We opened those up. There was one for a cash offer of $101,000, another cash offer for $120,000, and then another one was more of a proposal and not really a cash offer, but we voted to table that and study the offers and the proposals and come back with a recommendation at a later date. And then, next item was, well, but before we discuss this, this is the contract on the micro votes. We will need a.
I'll entertain a motion to waive the 5-day rule. Mr. Jimbo, do I hear a second? Tommy Johnson, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, we have hereby waived the 5-day rule on the next item. Mr. Chairman.
All right, the next item, and you might can elaborate a little bit more than I can, but there was a contract for $138,900 to purchase new voting
Micro vote equipment.
equipment.
The company's Microvote.
Microvote, yes.
New voting machines.
This is new voting machines.
That has a device connected to the voting machine that will provide a paper trail of all the votes casted on that machine. And that is something that is going into effect statewide January 1st of 2024.
Right. And this contract, and from what I understand, we pay the money up front, but it's a grant through the state. We will get reimbursed for this purchase.
And it comes as a motion.
This came as a motion to move forward with this, with giving you the authorization.
Second. Oh, do I hear a second? Jimbo Breland, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Still can't hear. Jerry Root, JR. So you said it's coming, so it's mandatory at some point then? So
It has
if
to
we
be in
did,
place January 1st, 2024.
Now,
so if we didn't do it, when would they make us do it later in the year, next year, at no match, or if it's required, it's required? How would that?
What do you mean next year?
Well, you said it's by January 1st of 2024.
Right, next year is 2023.
Right, but what if we didn't
It's
do
only a
it?
year
Would
away.
they mandate it before January? Is it mandated, required?
We're required, it's going to be TCA.
You go vote no, Tom?
No, I'm voting yes, but I'm trying to encourage the fact that if we vote no today, we have to pay for it next year.
We might.
That's a factor that I think is very important.
It's reimbursable, and that's a good
Well,
thing.
I mean, the state's paying for it all.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you do it
No matter when.
now or next year, it's just going to prolong me getting the machines.
Okay.
I would like to have the machines in place by the City of Dunlap election, which is the first Saturday of May. I'd like to try to go ahead and get this pushed through so I can go ahead and get the machines and use them in the upcoming city election in 2023, so we can get familiar with the new equipment and the paper trail.
So this thing provides an ironclad paper trail, is my understanding. You know, the idea is to cut down on the potential of fraud, not necessarily here, but across the state.
Well, across the U.S., I mean, yes. This all came in play after the 2020 presidential election.
The point of my question was this: I'm voting yes. However, if we were a poor county and didn't have the money to front it, would the state eventually just cover it at the end of next year?
Instead of fronting the money?
Yes, we're really voting to get it now. We would get it anyway.
I don't know the answer to that, but.
That's what it sounds like. Okay.
I can find out.
It's not relevant.
With this new system, with it print out, we can actually see what we actually voted right then?
What will happen is, what you'll do is verify your votes, and this little device will have a roll of paper in it, and it will scroll up and show you each candidate and amendment that you voted for. And if that's correct, then you'll hit the red button to confirm. If not, then you have to go back through your ballot and select the correct ones, and then hit verify. And if that's correct, you hit confirm, and you'll scroll up. It's not something that you can tear off and take with you. It's something that I have to keep secure and locked. There's no.
What I actually put.
Right.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, there's no voter names, voter ID numbers, or anything. It's just
Are they
what's on the
getting
ballot
these
and what you voted for.
Are they getting these in Georgia too?
What about Arizona and Pennsylvania? Maybe they need them too.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
A motion.
Jerry, what about the maintenance agreement? Is that coming out of your budget, or will that be something that the state pays
That's
for?
in my budget.
You have a maintenance agreement right now, it's in your budget, correct?
Yes.
That's the same amount?
Yes.
Okay.
And then it's something that has to be signed every year. The maintenance agreement.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
All in favor say aye.
Okay, because it exceeds 5,000, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Jeff Michelle,
Yes.
Travis Fawcett,
Yes.
Brian Ruling,
Yes.
Dwayne Lane,
Yes.
James Freeman,
Yes.
Brian Walker,
Yes.
George Dotson,
Yes.
Ed Dunley,
Yes.
Jeff Carter,
Yes.
Paul Powell,
Yes.
Michael Hudson,
Yes.
Frank Silver,
Yes.
Susie Fawcett,
Yes.
Wayne Clemens,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson,
Yes.
Tommy Darrow,
Yes.
and Jeff Matthews.
Yes.
Okay, motion hereby passes.
And I think that's all that we covered. I do want to make one more note. We did in buildings and grounds cover one more thing, that the Sequatchie County Fair Board had come to the with a proposal to build a pole barn pavilion for livestock on the Sequatchie County fairgrounds. This was not something for like long-term or anything. This is basically for shows and during the fair. We the Buildings and Grounds Committee passed agreed that it would be all right for them to build the pavilion, the pole barn on the fairgrounds that they proposed in the higher ground spot, not next to Fredonia Road, but at the higher ground, and we approved that. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Barger. We appreciate it. Okay, guys, as promised, this will pick up speed. Okay, anyone I missed as far as reports? Hopefully not. Moving over to new business, Resolution 777, opt out of statewide building codes. I'll entertain a motion to approve said resolution. I have a motion from Travis Fawcett, a second from Jimbo Breland. Any questions, comments? J-Mac? None?
Yeah, well, no, it just basically continues the status quo. That's what we have now. This has nothing to do with zoning, which is an entirely different animal. This just has to do with allowing our citizens to build 1- and 2-family homes on their own land without having to go through all the state inspections.
Well said. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, Resolution 777 hereby passes. Okay, we're skipping because we've already handled 778 and 779. Mr. Bruce Gross, are you here, sir? He was going to speak on the paper voting records, but I think Jerry Ruth did a good job filling in for him, but thank you, JR. We appreciate that. Moving over, Judicial Commissioner appointment. Councilor Mitchell, would you come forward and give us the bill of fare, so to speak?
Well, Martha Barker's been the Judicial Commissioner for many, many years, as you all know, and she retired October 31st. Keith had reached out to me and some others, and I think he had tossed it around to some individuals in the community. And even Karen Millsaps had offered to fill in. I think she is she fills in when Martha was out of town and things like that, but she can't be named the Judicial Commissioner. We talked to CTAS, and it's probably better that someone in her office not be named. And she wasn't really seeking to be the Judicial Commissioner. She's just willing to continue to help out as needed. Jeff Harmon, I think, has served as in the legal community for many, many years in the criminal justice system. and he has agreed to try it out, I believe, subject to, I believe that's who the appointment will be, for, I think he's agreed to 120 days. He served as the public defender in the 12th Judicial District. He's got more criminal knowledge than most everybody in the community. Criminal legal knowledge, and he will do a fantastic job if you appoint him. And I think that's all I have. He will work with the Sheriff's Department as the sheriff gets a request. They'll reach out to Mr. Harmon, and he'll make those determinations. And they wanted someone that had some legal background, and I don't know who else in this county would have any more legal background than Mr. Jeff Harmon. So that's where we are.
I'll entertain a motion to approve Jeff Harmon. I've got a motion from Jimbo and a second from Tom Bonero. Any questions for Mr. Harmon? He's in the audience.
Thank you for taking on that. There's a fine choice. I mean, I agree with Jennifer. He will be outstanding. So.
Could you give us about a 20-minute rundown of your qualifications?
Never let a lawyer get up with a free podium.
But you're right. Sit down.
He was on Jeopardy, so don't worry what you.
All in favor say aye for Mr.
Aye.
Jeff Harmon. All opposed? Hearing none. Welcome to the staff, so to speak. So, okay, we got that one done. All right, next is the IDB appointment. In your package, you should have received Michael Griffith. He is my nomination for IDB appointment. I would enjoy the blessing of the commission. What say you? I'll entertain a motion for Michael Griffith.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Powell and a second from J-Mac. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Michael Griffith has agreed to step into that place. Okay, up next, Mr. Ed Nunley and Tom Bonero came to me after the tragic accident on John Birch and Highway 28. And Mayor Huth has been doing some work on updating us on the potential red light and or speed limit reduction there at that location. I asked Mayor Clint Huth to come forward and give us an update.
Good evening. As Executive Cartwright said, I think the community as a whole was very saddened with the recent traffic fatality there at John Birch and Highway 28 that we lost two young lives full of potential in the community. This was a project that Keith and I have kind of working on together. The morning following the accident, we did reach out to our state representatives, both Senator Gardenhire and Representative Travis. We've been talking with officials for TDOT, both here at the local level as well as up in Nashville on that. Now, I would like to say that there's more to it than, it's easy to say, oh, we need a red light down there. There's a lot more to it than that. Along with this, I've also reached out to TDOT and requested speed survey, what they call a speed survey. Not just for Highway 28 South at the south end of the city, but also on the north end of the city. If you know, if you're familiar, obviously you probably are, the speed limit as you're traveling north, when you get to about the AutoZone area, it turns 45, and it's 45 all the way through the north end of town. My opinion, my experience, I just felt that was a little bit too quick with all the side traffics, all the cuts for businesses and things like that in there. To me, 45 sounds a little bit extreme. I've thought that for years. As well as Highway 28 South, leaving the city. It's when you get to just south of the schools near the Veterans Hall area. It's 55 through there, obviously. And that area of town is growing. We've seen it just over the last few months, and I'm thinking 55 might be a little high for that as well. Just my thoughts. I'm not a traffic engineer or anything like that. So anyway, I did reach out to TDOT requesting a speed survey. Along with that, there's quite a bit to it. And they have agreed to do that for us. They're going to be doing this. It's not going to be it's not like we're going to get a report back next week or anything like that. I do have a lot of data that I could stand up here and maybe bore you with as far as traffic counts and things like that. I do have that information. But like I said, I don't want to take a whole lot of your time up on that. Just to let you know that we have been looking into this. We will continue to be looking into it. The officials from TDOT are telling me the timeline on this with the holidays and all their other work that they're doing. We're probably looking 2 months, probably be after the first of the year, sometime after the first of the year before we'll actually get the results. And I would like to say this. And I'm not trying to promote one thing over another. I just think the data is important to look at. I don't think we need to make a knee-jerk reaction. If you look at a red light, a traffic red light, and not that a life isn't important, but just to give you kind of a ballpark of what you're looking at, you're probably looking in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $300,000 for a traffic light. Now there are other options. You can have some enhanced signing, you can have caution lights. Those are just other options. And I'm not trying to say that a traffic light isn't warranted down there. I don't know. We'll see what TDOT has to say on that. But there is a variety of options that we can do to make that part of town safer, as well as the other parts of town safer. You're looking on Highway 28, just south of the schools. You're probably looking at, if I remember the data correctly off the top of my head, you're looking about 11,000 vehicles. Now that is both northbound and southbound. When you get down to about the National Guard Armory, that's about 8,000 vehicles. Again, almost 50-50 northbound and southbound. The next location where they did a count was just below around Faust Road. If you're not familiar with Faust Road it's about halfway between Press Picket and Stone Cave. When you get down there, it's about 6,000 cars. So what that tells me is between Faust Road and the National Guard Armory, you've got about 2,000 vehicles turning off somewhere. Where's that going to be? Primarily, it's probably going to be John Birch Road. Maybe some on Stone Cave, I'm sure, but obviously we have a lot of turning traffic right there. So a lot of data to go through. This is not something that they do overnight. And, I would like to add this. When I first saw these numbers, through the middle of town here, we're talking over 16,000 vehicles in a 24-hour period. And when I first saw these numbers, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's got to be school traffic, right? That's what we all think, school traffic. Well, when these counts were done, they were done in July. So school traffic is not figured into that. So you can probably figure, you want to add school traffic in there, it's probably going to be even higher. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're going to keep working on it. We're going to keep working with TDOT, listen to their experts, listen to their engineers, kind of take their recommendations, and we'll see what it says. And I think that's probably going to be the proper course of action to go from there after we get all the data back.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Once the surveys and studies are complete.
I'm sorry?
Once the surveys and studies are complete, what's the process after that?
Well, once we get the information back from TDOT, they may make a recommendation, and it may be, oh yeah, you guys got to have a traffic light there. we're gonna come in and we're gonna pay for it. Or it could be, well, we don't think it's justified, but we're gonna give you approval to put a traffic light in, or a caution light or whatever, but we're not gonna help you fund it. You're gonna have to do it with local dollars.
Well, I don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction on this either, but this is in my district. And I welcome that convenience store. I love that it's there, it's great, but it has increased traffic. We've got the park down there, we've got the sanitation down there. It's dangerous, and I knew both of those kids. I don't care if it costs $200,000, $500,000. We spend $500,000 on a piece of property at the drop of a hat. If we could save one life down there, I'm all for it.
Just as I said earlier.
I don't care what the state says.
Just as I said earlier, if it's $300,000, if it saves one life, it's worth it.
Write the check.
It's a no-brainer.
It is dangerous down there. I know.
Now, we'll have to see and it does, and there's going to be more development down there. It's just going to get busier and busier and busier. And when TDOT does this, when they look at that intersection and when they do these speed surveys, they're looking at a whole lot more than just, okay, how many cars are coming through. They're going to look at historical crash data. They're going to look at the road cuts. They look at a variety of things. There's about, with the manual that they use, there's about 7 or 8 different factors that they look at, and it's all solely based on one thing.
And it's going to be, argued that they're not going to stop anyway. It's going to be an inconvenience. Who cares? If it saves a life, do it. And it's not, I'm not saying put a red light up everywhere, but I go through there every day on John Burge 28, that store. It's dangerous.
It's easy to come, especially if you're traveling northbound. It's easy. You're on that intersection before you know it. You're in a 55. You're coming up. So we may have some different options here to look at. It would be nice if you could engineer any roadway and make it 100% safe. And
here's my question to the city: if we do this, will you guys help us financially?
Well, I knew that question would probably be coming. And since I have Commissioner Harmon here, my backup to that. No, I'm just kidding. The city, obviously that's right on the edge of the city limits. I can't speak for the entire commission, but I feel safe in saying that, just like any other project, the city's going to partner with the county on it. If it does require some local funds, I think we should do that. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Clint, that's gonna be trucks going in there. They've got a gas and diesel both selling there. Trucks are gonna be pulling out. Trucks has to have distance to change their gears and get up to a certain speed. You got hut loads coming out there. You got West Valley people coming out there. Mm-hmm. And if what do we have to do? I know you're working on it, and I know Keith's working on it. Do we have to have 2 more crosses down there before, did they look at that?
Yes, they do. Now, and I will say this, when that gas station, the gas station put another highway cut in there. Mm-hmm. They put another entrance in there.
Yeah, but still, when the truck goes out.
I got you. You're preaching at the choir, Ed.
Yeah, but
TDOT did do, before they signed off on their permit, they did do a study on that intersection and the impact that the gas station would have there. Now, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking gloom and doom. But just looking back historically, nothing will get TDOT's attention faster than a fatality. Now, that being said, TDOT's a large bureaucratic organization. There's a lot of red tape. Sometimes things can take a while. If you recall, up here at the intersection of 111 and 127, we had, everybody always remembers the big, what we call the Highway 127 yard sale wreck that claimed 2 lives. Before that overpass was ever built, there were 2 more fatalities up there before we got TDOT, before that happened. There was a total, there was more than just one. And I'm not saying we have to have more, don't get me wrong, I'm just saying, you know, I get where you're coming from. What's it gonna take to get the state, you know, get TDOT's attention to do something down there? We have TDOT's attention, trust me on that. TDOT is aware of it. The commissioner for TDOT, he was aware of it the following morning after it happened. He probably was aware of it before most of our own county residents were aware of it.
Well, they're also gonna put a restaurant in there, a big restaurant's going in the back of that.
Highway 28 is going to continue to grow commercially. There's, you know, I'm aware of some other potential residential developments that will be accessing Highway 28 from that same intersection. It's not going to decrease. It's going to increase. And that's one thing that TDOT will look at is that future potential growth as well.
Is there anybody that we can call or?
We can start with Governor Lee and work our way down. But I mean, it's the work is in progress. TDOT, like I said, TDOT has agreed to do this. You know, so. You know, I'm not worried about staying on the phone and talking to a bunch of politicians in Nashville to make this happen. You know, I just think they're not going to make a decision until we have all the data.
Is the speed limit, is that set by TDOT as well?
I think we can set
Or can we extend the speed limits? I mean,
no.
That's in my area. I live right off 28, and I can't tell you how many times going down 28, trying to turn left on the Hudlow Loop there at Dry Creek. There's been many times that I've gunned it just to go on down to the South End Volunteer Fire Department and go around the loop because I was going to get rear-ended.
TDOT, when you look at that area down there, that is unfortunately. You as a governing body cannot come and say, well, we want to make that 35, 45. You don't, unfortunately, you do not have the authority to do that. It has to come from TDOT. Now, I know we deal with TDOT quite a bit. You know, if we want to put a sign up on the side of the highway, we have to get TDOT's approval. It's their highway. So I see that.
So at one time they were discussing expanding or widening that section of highway down through there. Has there been any?
Not that I've ever been a part of, either through my time in the police department or as mayor. I've not heard. You can tell if you look at it.
Right.
You can tell that
right
they were
there.
thinking there's enough room there where you could do 2 more lanes down there.
I think you can put an overpass.
But now, as far as any recent discussions on that, I've not heard anything.
I can count in my head just the last 5 to 6 years that because I live right on Hudlow Loop right there at the end, right at 28, and I went up there and I can't tell you how many bumpers and glass and stuff I've helped clean up off the road right in that area.
Recently, the veterans, the American Legion has adopted basically from Veterans Memorial Park down to about Fletcher's Trucking for the Adopt a Highway to clean it up. And I don't know if Johnny's still here. I know that first time we went down there, we probably picked up enough parts, we probably could have built a half dozen cars.
Yeah.
There's been a lot, if you go back 10 years, 15 years, and even further, there has been a lot of bad crashes on what is really
a straight road.
Straight and level road. But, you know, a lot of those wrecks, you know, the cause of them, was it engineering problems, was it driver problems? You know, those are all the things you got to look at. And when TDOT does this, they will look at all that previous crash data. You know, they will take all that into consideration as well.
Ron Travis said if we would y'all said y'all talked to him, but he said if we'd get a resolution, if I might not be saying that right, he would take that to Nashville and present it to them in Nashville if we would get that. Well, can we do that?
You could, but do you really need to at this point?
Well, we need anything we can.
You know, that's a decision for y'all as a governing body to decide. You know, the response I've got back from TDOT has been, you know, in my conversations with them over the last month or so, have been very good. I feel they're on board. I feel they want to really take a look at it. Now, they're not going to commit to anything again until they get their data. You know, if you want to pass a resolution, you know, that's up to y'all as a governing body, but, you know, sometimes I get frustrated with TDOT and how long it takes to get things going with them, but, you know,
Well, he seemed to act like and talk like that might help us if we did that.
well, and if you do that, you know, I don't want to make it sound like I know how everything works up in Nashville, but it's going to come back to the same thing. I mean, if I convince Governor Lee that we need something done there, he's going to say, okay, well, I'm going to have my TDOT boys look at it. And that's what they're doing.
My point, what I'm hearing, I think Clint, as the mayor, is taking the fastest route to get an answer. The resolution is not a bad idea, but I think the route's already been taken. That would be additional material to do that. And at the end of the day, whatever Clint decides, whatever Clint is able to get from TDOT, this governing body, anyone can make a motion. You want to do a red light, you can make a motion someday. Don't let us stop you from doing that. You want to find the funds, I would say let the mayor work through TDOT to do that. But that would be more powerful than a resolution, in my opinion. If anyone, that's an option. I'm not saying that that's what you do, but can anyone make a motion?
Right, and here's my suggestion, Ed, is we've got 2 months till the next meeting in January, and it'll be the end of January when we get there. We should have some answers probably right after the first of the year. So if we need to if we see what they come up with over the next 6 weeks or so, and then we can take action before the next meeting in January and put that forward.
Any commissioner, Michael Hudson, can make a motion.
I appoint Ed and Michael to follow this thing up and, you know, get to us.
Well, can we make a motion, Keith, that we do that now?
I see what the mayor's saying. The mayor's saying, the mayor's saying regardless of a resolution or not, it's going to be the same process. Give them 2 months, regardless of what the state says. Even if they don't want to have, they do want to have, it doesn't matter. I'll bring the resolution.
Exactly. You can take action.
2 months. If you guys don't want to vote for it, you won't, but it's going to have my support 100%. I see what he's saying.
But it sounds like we're willing to give the 2 months to do it.
If we give them 2 months, our case will be stronger if the numbers come
I
back.
think it's going to take you 2 months regardless. If Representative Travis if he had the resolution in hand tonight, it's not going to speed this process up. TDOT is still going to have to go through the hoop. Now, 2 months from now, we get a report back from TDOT that we're not happy with.
What are we going to say a month from now, Clint, if there's another red?
I'm sorry?
What are we going to say a month from now if there's another red?
Well, I understand. I understand.
Go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, Ed. I get what you're saying. Is TDOT going to come in tomorrow and build a red light? It's not going to happen. I mean, let's just be honest. Now, what happens if there's a fatality there tonight?
I know you're doing everything you can. I know that.
I get it. I'm
just trying to think if maybe something that we could do.
Now, on our part, one thing I have done in the time being is I've spoken with our law enforcement, with the city, and I was like, increase the presence. You know, run a little more radar on Highway 28. Be visible. Set the speed trailer up. Let the public see you down there. What will slow anybody down? What will make sure that people stop at stop signs is if they see a police car.
Also, if they see a state trooper truck, vehicle go down.
Now I can't direct the troopers or the sheriff to send folks down there, but. I did talk, and the police department will be down there, so be careful if you're driving down there. But yeah, if we look at this in 2 months and we get a report back from TDOT, and if it's not favorable, if we're not, or they say, yeah, well, you need a red light, but we're not going to help you pay it, then at that point, that might be a good time for a resolution.
Absolutely. Well, in summation, let me say this. I've sat here and listened to that. Certainly a resolution would not hurt. And Michael, if you would draft one for the January meeting, it won't hurt. I just don't know that it would speed anything up. So, but it's certainly not going to hurt if we can do that, Ed. So Michael, if you'll take care of that. Blaine.
It sounds like everybody is in agreement here that there needs to be something done. I think that's the most important thing and like you said, I think you've done your process and that's it. It's in their hands, and we're just kind of in this terrible waiting process. That's what it sounds like. So, And I travel to Max Fit, in the evenings. As soon as people come out of the city, they're gunning it.
Well, they're gunning it before you get out of the city.
Yeah. So riding
They slow down in the county.
I have to cut off, and it's a wonder so many times that they have to swerve to miss me, and I turn on my blinker in plenty of time. But either they're not paying attention or they don't care. And then the person behind them, it's a wonder they don't,
My suggestion, Michael, is if you're going to draft a resolution, don't limit yourself to simply a red light.
Right.
Don't put yourself in a box with that resolution. And this could be something at the city level that we could do as well.
Right.
We could do a resolution on our part too.
I get what Ed's saying, but I think a resolution right now is premature. By January, regardless of what the state says, we can move on it as a city and county. So let them do their numbers, give us 2 months, we'll have a resolution ready, we'll go from there.
And it may be unnecessary. They may come back and recommend they do all this stuff.
And be willing to pick up the tab.
If I could go down there tonight and put up a red light, I would, but I know it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, if you start passing a resolution saying we're willing to pay for it, they're going to let us pay for it.
Good example of that, we had an accident on Dawes Mountain out there. A man got killed. One of the county boys. I think everybody here remembers it. It took 5 years for them to put up guardrails and cautions out there. And they even put caution stripes around the telephone pole to keep you from running over them. But they went through there and done an A1 job of paving it and all this stuff. But it took 5 years before that happened.
It doesn't happen overnight. That's like I said, up here at 111 and 127, took a long time for that project to go and for that project to be built. And I hate to say this, but I said it earlier, nothing will get TDOT's attention quicker than a fatality. Unfortunately, it took 3. Had it not been for them fatalities, 111, 127 could easily be another 4-way stop like it used to be. So. Okay, I didn't mean to take all your time. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Clint. We appreciate it. All right, Madam Clerk, any notaries?
Yes, sir. I've got Cynthia Abel Grant, Gina A. Smith, Shelley Dodson, Robin L. Wilder, Mark C. Black, Greg A. Holloway, and Jared Michelle Rios.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion from Jimbo Brennan, second from Mr. Shell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, said notice hereby passed. Just a couple of notes. Martha Barker, she was going to be here tonight. She told me, she's my neighbor, been here 35 years, but consistent with Martha, she's not here, doesn't want any accolade. I will say on BTC Fiber that Martha, we're going to miss you. Job well done. 35 years of excellence. We appreciate it. Councilor Harmon, you've got big shoes to fill. It never paid much. Getting out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, she did that many, many times. So we appreciate Martha's service to this county. June Dishman, we wish you well. She's one of our commissioners that's rehabbing tonight, and happy Thanksgiving. Any other announcements, Commissioner? We stand adjourned.